And I really wanted to share that with others. It was through dance that I originally got comfortable in my body, but it was through the practices of yoga that took my awareness outside of the body.
Self-care, self-compassion, it's crucial. It's essential. It's not being selfish. It's important.
The labels that have me think that I'm separate from you and anyone else, but we can switch. We are capable of switching to what's the outcome I want to have happen.
You could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello everyone, today we're meeting Brittany Hopkins Switlick. She is an author, a keynote speaker, also entrepreneur and a yogi. Hello Brittany, thank you for joining us today.
So happy to be here. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. So I'd like to start a conversation by exploring your journey of becoming the person that you are today. So what really was the pivotal moment for you to realize your true passion in life?
Whoa, that's such a good question. Pivotal moment. Today, I'm going to answer that from when I was living in central Utah. I was living in a land full of, it was a different culture living in Utah, surrounded by LDS, the religion of all the Latter-day Saints. And I was teaching dance at a boarding school that wasn't correlated or related to the religion, but it was an international boarding school. And I was teaching these students that were from all over the world how to move their bodies. I was teaching dance at the time, and I was also teaching yoga a little bit. And I saw how uncomfortable they were in their bodies and how comfortable I was in my body at the time. And I really wanted to share that with others. And it was through dance that I originally got comfortable in my body, but it was through the practices of yoga that took my awareness outside of the body. And like, how do I want to say it? Just that we are all connected. And I wanted my students to feel connected to themselves and to each other in that bigger way. And so it led me to taking a yoga teacher training in 2013. So yeah, 12 years ago now. And going to that yoga teacher training, I thought I was just going to learn how to make the shapes really well. But it turns out I learned so much more about how I show up in the world and how to invite others to show up in the world more authentically and more compassionately towards themselves and towards others around them.
Yes, beautiful. And I see the connection. First, it started with the dance movements and feeling comfortable in your body. And you mentioned how it's important to really feel your true nature through that connection and ground yourself into really knowing that we are all connected. I would call it unity consciousness. This is how it comes to me to expand on the idea that we all have the same source of existence, I would say. And now, if we can just tap into this unique way of interacting with other people, but first, we need to know who we are. We need to deeply connect with our true nature in order to show up authentically. And I feel like this is where it starts with awareness. How did you bring awareness into this present moment? I know the body helped you to really feel it physically, to be present, to know the sensations and really find yourself here and now. but what else would you say was maybe a practice or certain tools that helped you to bring your attention and focus here in that present moment?
Beyond the poses of yoga, meditation has been a huge component of, and really an adventure of getting present to myself, because when I sit for meditation, it's not sunshine and roses most days. It's a whole lot of squirrel. I sometimes describe it as my inner 4-year-old throwing a tantrum. It's like, I don't want to be here, and just like try, like it feels like there's a battle happening on my inside. And other times it feels like my inner 13-year-old sitting in a corner sulking, like the opposite of the outward expression, but just like the pity party. Why are you making me sit here? And it's really interesting that the longer I sit with those uncomfortable feelings, the more magical the feeling of presence is when I get to the stillness, which usually takes at least 17 minutes of sitting through the discomfort. And then I can get to the place of like, oh, present without the extra drama to the presence. Does that make sense?
Of course.
Where it's just like, I feel like I drop in.
Yes. And I think that what really can clarify for people that we, more than just our thoughts, our emotions, there is a bigger picture here. And in order for us to experience that stillness and peace, that state of really like equilibrium and harmony and bliss, right? We have to accept all of those emotions that may rise up for us to feel. And without feeling it, how can we get through that veil, let's say, right, of that true, authentic essence and come to that place? So it's not to avoid, but really accept and face what is it that we have with us based on whatever experience we had, perhaps any trauma that people went through, right? And all of that is just part of who we are. And we just need to embrace and really see the, I would say, the lesson behind each experience that we went through. It's all for our benefit in the end, but sometimes we don't see it in the moment. But again, like, we have to, I think, approach more from a perspective that whatever life brings to us in order to learn is always of benefit. Don't you think?
Yeah, exactly what you said, the being willing to sit with the uncomfortable feelings or allow the uncomfortable feelings. Sometimes it's not just sitting, sometimes it's allowing, like through tears or through frustration, yelling, screaming, in a safe space. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for what you just shared. That was beautiful.
Yes, and I feel like a lot of people afraid to face those emotions, or because it's uncomfortable, they avoid with all of the distractions that we have nowadays, you know, substances, TV, social media. But in any case, it's just, you can't hide, really, not for long. It will still be there, you know. It's just with different approach and accepting it as a normal way of being. I would say everybody, all human beings have those type of experiences, and it's okay and it's normal. And if we also create a safe space for other people to feel how they want to feel, and they wouldn't be needing this really way of like hiding or pretending to be somebody else. They would just be open and vulnerable and share. So I feel it's also important for us to be mindful of what people going through, to be compassionate, and to create that safe space for all of us to connect on a deeper level.
Yeah. I'm laughing thinking about the people that I don't even know that I'm interacting with, whether it's at the grocery store or witnessing someone at the grocery store. And it's like, oh, I have essentially not separated myself, but I talk about myself in two versions. I talk about my higher self, Brittany, and my ego self, Brandy. And Brandy is the part of me that's like, we're going to eat all of the chocolate because we feel sad. Brandy is the part of me that is going to scroll to numb because she doesn't want to admit that she feels sad right now. And so I also know that about other people. So back to the grocery store, it's like, oh, that person is throwing a fit. It's like, oh, that's their ego. That's not their higher self. And lets me be curious about, oh, I wonder what has happened in their life that led them to have their ego berate the cashier right now. Or essentially it allows me to be compassionate because I know that I'm not perfect in those ways either. And it's being able to see it. And if I can blame it on Brandy, then I'm able to accept it and then make a change. Because if I just pretend like, no, I don't do those things, I'm not that way, then it just keeps happening over and over again. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And all of us have, like you just mentioned, let's say you can name it differently. Let's say ego self, higher self, or perhaps any roles that we play also here right now, being a mom, being a daughter, sister, wife. So all of those characteristics and roles, they all coming from who you're being right now. So all of your qualities together, they blend into this beautiful piece of art, as unique as you are with all of your gifts. And if you exist, that means you're here for a reason. That already means you are you have that significance to exist. So it's important to really acknowledge that we here to bring something unique that could be used of service for other people. And in order for us to bring that gift, we have to be our authentic selves. But how can we help ourselves to be who we are? How can we really care and love for ourselves enough to come to this safe place where we can be open and share, right? So I think that self-care, self-compassion, it's crucial. It's essential. It's not being selfish. It's important. And a lot of times people don't prioritize their well-being. They would find time to work, to care for others, but not for themselves. But in the end, you don't feel like you are giving your best because you don't have enough energy and you're not fulfilled and all of that. So, how yoga helps us to bring that well-being into balance, let's say, like how would you advise people to look at that as being more than just a physical movement, but also like a philosophy, a way of living?
Yeah, what you brought up about self-care is so important because if I don't take time for my self-care every day, it's more likely that my ego is going to be taking the lead. And while Brandy is an authentic part of me, she's not, she's doing it saying things or doing things from a place of fear rather than as my higher self, I can do things because I want to, because I can, not because I should. And so, yeah, people think, especially in the West, that yoga is this thing we do on a rectangle mat in a yoga studio or to a YouTube video. But really, it's what you said. It's a way of living in the world. And one of the simple self-care practices I do throughout a day is to stop and check in and take a deep breath and get present. What is it I'm feeling physically right now? Like, do I feel tight in the chest? Do I feel energized? Do I feel lethargic? And then what am I feeling mentally and emotionally? Like, how does my mind feel clear? Does it feel cluttered? Do I feel happy, sad? Like, to put a name or a word to all three of those things is a practice of yoga, because it's inviting me to arrive in the present moment. So yeah, that's one of my favorite self-care practices, is simply to check in, to stop, take some deep breaths and check in. And while it might not look like a fancy headstand yoga pose, it is a yoga practice that is self-care. And then I also try to carve out at least 10 minutes to move my body, whether it's taking a walk around the block or doing some stretches. There's so many chair yoga videos on the internet. Like, you don't even have to get out of the chair to do 10 minutes of asana. Because the simple moving while breathing on purpose is so impactful for mental health, and for present in the body.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like this kind of practice doesn't require much of your time. And when people, they come up with excuses why they don't do it, it's not because there is not enough time. It has to be a priority for you. Then you will create that time. You will find that time. It's always what is important, and also why are you doing this, right? Anything that you do should have like an intention behind it. Why? And if you know that it's important, it has to be scheduled regularly for your own well-being, and also as a long-term effect, it would be a ripple effect how you bring that to other people as well. So I think everyone should have some kind of like perhaps a way of reminding yourself that it's time to check in. And like you said, just 10 minutes stretch, and will help you to come to this present moment. And also, I feel like it will give you more productivity around the day. Like sometimes people think it's waste of time, but this is the opposite. Those breaks during the day could make a miracle in the way how you come up with the solutions or being productive, let's say. So what's your opinion on that?
I love that you brought that up, because there's so much research to support that even 5 on-purpose breaths will change how your brain operates. The HeartMath Institute is the one that I have seen lots of research from. They have some diagrams on their website, and I have shown some on my Instagram as well. But the slightest bit of frustration changes how we breathe and changes how our heart rate goes. So if we are a little bit frustrated, our heart rate gets erratic and our breath is shallow. And that turns on the amygdala, the fight or flight brain, or reptilian brain, or lizard brain is what I like to call it. And the opposite, when we slow our breathing down and we feel even the slightest bit of gratitude, our heart rate evens out. And they have graphs that show from real people feeling frustrated and real people feeling gratitude. When the heart rate gets regular, the amygdala turns off and the prefrontal cortex turns on. And research shows that 2 minutes of breathing calmly and being just a little bit grateful makes your prefrontal cortex turn on, which is our wizard brain, our thinking brain, our logical brain. And so we can change how we come up with ideas simply by changing our breathing and changing our attitude.
Right. It just has to be some kind of reminder, and you have to be conscious of really doing that, not just planning to do, but doing that eventually it will be automatic, really, and you don't need a reminder. It would be just the way you are. And I feel like if we come to this place where, meditation becomes not a practice, but a way of being, is just in your daily life, how you interact with people in this meditative state, like you bring it in. Every time you do it, it's like it penetrates your reality in a way, right? You bring it with you, this state, and it helps you to interact with people on absolutely different level. And now you feel more compassion, and it's easier to, I feel like, care for someone if you care for yourself. So everything is connected as we start talking about unity consciousness and yoga being unity as a translation, right? So it's all about us realizing that we are the one and only, right? And we are connected. And how can we really start appreciating that, being grateful, and start really connecting on that deeper level with that understanding? So it's everything. I feel like eventually will show us the way that is best for everybody involved. So it's like it should be for the benefit of all the people around you, and it's just one of the way to come to that understanding. But I feel like for some people maybe it's yoga, for some people a different kind of sport, but this connection with the body, mind, and some, maybe I call it spirit, but maybe you can say higher self, something that is not visible, right? It's all bringing you to that, knowing that you're not just a body. Let's say you're more like multidimensional kind of being, right? So it connects you to different levels of being here in this presence. How can you, let's say, activate more of you, of who you are, rather than just being attached to the identity that you develop over time? And sometimes it's hard for people to let go, because in their mind, this is who they are. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, so this is it, right? And sometimes we attach to those roles very much, and it's hard to just know that it's temporary, and it may be surface or on purpose right now, and it has a reason to be, but we are more than that. And for us to be open to explore, I think this curiosity, like a childlike curiosity, right? Like when we just being open and allow ourselves to learn and explore, it helps us to expand our consciousness.
What you were just describing reminded me of the Soham mantra. Soham in Sanskrit generally is translated to I am.
Yeah.
And ahamkara is the term referencing this imaginary boundary between me and that separates me from you.
Mm-hmm.
That's ahamkara. That's the ego saying that we're separate. And then asmita is anything that comes after the words I am.
Mm-hmm.
The labels that you were talking about earlier. I am a mom. I am a doctor.
Yeah.
I am insert the label, right? And the Soham mantra is a tool that I use in meditation as well, where I just breathe and think, I am. I am. Soham. Over and over again, allowing labels to fall away. The labels that have me think that I'm separate from you and anyone else. Soham. I am. But I also love, I have to tell a funny story. One training I was leading, the first lecture about how to meditate and how we were going to meditate throughout the program. And I introduced Soham as the mantra. And the next day she was meditating on her own, this trainee, and she couldn't remember what the mantra was. She's like, I don't know. Is it so what? So what? I was like, that's not it, but that's the energy.
Yeah.
So what? Like
Right.
all of these labels, let them fall away. So what? So what? Like an energy of letting go makes me laugh and also has me remember.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And what you said about the childlike curiosity too, because our littles, they're not like, I'm smart. They only say it because we told them.
Yeah.
They're just being. They're not thinking they're good or bad until they feel that someone else has labeled them that, and then they attach that label to themselves.
Right. I think I've heard some saying, if you hear that the tree is a tree, you no longer see a tree, let's say, right? As long as you hear the label of something that you experience, it kind of like, in a way, it loses its nature, its essence, because all of the labels, it's more like narrow of your interpretation, right, of what that word means to you. And sometimes it's very distorted of the whole idea of that being or whatever you're looking at. But that's why we have to be aware that the meaning that we put into anything, like any events in our life, any experiences, is what we filter through our consciousness. This is the meaning I'm giving it. In nature has no meaning, really. Like, it's neither good or bad, negative, positive, right? But if you want to extract a positive result from that experience, you better find a description for it that is more positive, because it's up to you. And I feel like not a lot of people realize that. They think that something is already negative, and this is how they perceive it, and this is what they get from it. But again, it's coming from the perhaps a social conditioning, in a way that we look at it through negative lenses. But is it really? So we have to always ask ourselves the question, do we want to look through negative lenses, or maybe I can just change the way I look at things? And that's all up to us. And I think it's also hard sometimes to realize that we are the only ones creating suffering in our life. And it's hard to accept. And with what we just said about letting go of labels and roles that we play, and just staying in that I am presence, that gives you freedom. Knowing that all of those interpretations or suffering or pain, it's attached to that label that you allow yourself to let go. So maybe it's no longer there. Maybe it wasn't that description. So sometimes we just don't look at what is the cause of all of that, and we just being caught up in this thinking pattern, or with certain emotions, certain story that we have about that experience or about that person. Or if we're still holding resentment and it's hard for us to forgive, but who is in pain? And it's our choice if we decide to continue being in pain with holding on to that grudge, let's say, not letting go. But we also the ones who can help ourselves and find that freedom and stillness and I am presence with our choices. But again, I think eventually we just kind of like with being in our authentic nature, we are being an example for other people to feel safe to step into their true nature as well. So with that, we have to kind of like know that even though you're doing your personal practice with the meditation and being present, but you also, in a way, help others by your example. So it goes both ways. And again, because of that connection with everyone.
Yeah, that was a beautiful reminder of that we do have a choice in how we show up. What you were talking about, like focusing on what's going wrong or focusing on the resentment or the judges, reminded me of something we talked about this last weekend when I was leading the yoga teacher training. And I had my trainees, I learned this exercise from David Emerald. Go ahead and cross your arms. Try it with me. Cross your arms. And I had them cross their arms and look down and see which arm is crossed and on top. And then I was like, okay, now switch the cross. Put the other arm on top. Like, it's a little bit tricky, but you can do it, right? Mm-hmm. And we talked about how our mindset of, we have a default way of thinking about things, the first way. And often it's that this is a problem. But we can switch. We are capable of switching to what's the outcome I want to have happen. It just takes a little more conscious awareness that, oh, I'm focused on the problem. My ego is saying this shouldn't be this way. They usually use the word should as a clue that my ego's taking the lead. It's like, oh, but what could happen different than should? What could happen is the energy of curiosity.
Yes.
And so first it's catching, oh, I'm in the default position. And then we do those things to get present. How is it that I'm feeling physically, mentally, emotionally? Oh, yeah. In this energy, I'm going to consciously choose to switch and go in this direction of curiosity towards the thing I want to have happen instead of focusing on what I don't want to have happen.
Right. And all it takes is awareness. And that's what it's all about. And again, it doesn't happen right away, but we build that foundation slowly, and we bring, like, it's kind of like we infuse that state of being through our practice into our daily life in a way that meditation is just the way of being, and you are present at all times. And now it doesn't take much of you. It becomes your habit. You created a new habit, right, over time. But you have to first start to building that support system for yourself that will, at some point, start carrying you on its own without your effort. And this is what you want. You want a long-term, sustainable, way of living that really is healthy, beneficial for you and others. But it starts with you, with your choices now.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how many times my ego thinks that I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Like life is happening to me. I can't control the government. I can't control my neighbor. I can't control the other drivers on the road. And it feels like I don't have a choice. And when I step back, tune in, move my body to get the fear out or the frustration out, or to sit in stillness and meditate and tune into what the thoughts that are coming, then it's like, then I can, once I get into that I am state, I see, oh, there's so many choices.
Yeah. Then it becomes clear. Then you're no longer confused. And it's easy for you to choose what is of benefit for everybody is involved. And I think that step back and being like responsible for your choices and to respond in awareness, not just react, is what is required from all of us to start consciously create of what we want to see in our life. So we have to take that responsibility. We have to make it a conscious choice every single interaction that we have. And again, it shouldn't be as scary, when people hear word responsibility, it's something like sometimes too scary for them. But it's a good thing that I'm the one responsible. So who else? Why would I give my power away to anybody to make a choice for me, right? So it's a good thing. It's just we have to embrace it and live it.
I like the word responsible. I mean, not from the sense of like the pressure that might come up. If we think about it, like we break it down, able to respond.
Right.
Instead of what you were saying, reacting. Like the reaction is like not thought through, reaction is not responsible.
Yeah, it's more like automatic, like knee-jerk reaction automatically. You don't have time to think about anything. It just goes. But yeah, ability to respond, every one of us has that ability, but we just need to remind ourselves that it's always available now at any point of time. And the more we start coming to this present moment, I feel that the more of a positive ripple effect we can create as just a side effect of you working on yourself, on your well-being. And it's a great side effect because everybody benefits from it. So so glad that we had that conversation today. And Brittany, if somebody wants to find you online, how can they find you?
Would love to connect on Instagram or Facebook. And my Instagram is brittany.hopkins.switlick. My website, brittanyhopkins.com. And I have a video library. I also have a YouTube channel full of yoga videos and conversations. And I'm also working on a new project, the Denver Yoga Summit, coming September 2026. It'll be a 3-day conference at the Chatfield Botanic Gardens. I'm so excited about bringing yogis and people interested in mindfulness and wellness together for a 3-day event next September.
Oh, soon. That's exciting. Mm-hmm. Yes. And as we close today, what would be the final thought for our listeners?
I think what you were just saying, like we do have the ability to pause and respond instead of react. It just might take a little practice. It's like any sort of muscle. You gotta work the muscles out. You gotta practice building strength out of things. So stepping out of reaction and into action is a conscious practice and choice.
Definitely. And I'm so glad we had this time today. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and wisdom. And I hope you enjoy your day. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned.